A long time ago, long before the internet became popular, I bought this system that would allegedly teach you how to make easy money at the racetrack. This sales letter, an old school actual letter you'd get in the mail, made this system sound like a fantastic way that would allow you to make tons of money. So when this system came in the mail, I was really excited. I headed down to my local bookstore, prepared to spend the afternoon understanding the secrets of easy riches. According to economists, whenever we buy something, we either do this for direct value or emotional value, usually a combination of both. For example, the direct value of any item of clothing is that it covers your skin and protects you from the elements. But the emotional value is how good you'll look. Unless you are selling tools or raw materials, whatever product you are selling, the emotional value is where the money is. A very common marketing technique is to build up tons of value, so much that people have to buy this just to see if this will lead up to the hype. Because we buy many things that have an unconscious emotional value, this makes it very easy for marketers to target this, to make people very much want to buy this. It is kind of like a two-step subconscious sales strategy that is very effective and often can live in the subconscious of both the buyer and the seller. This means that we humans can buy and sell things to each other without either side knowing what the true emotional value is. It's like the emotional value for any product lives in our subconscious as an ever-changing variable that can be applied to almost anything. Once there was this yoga teacher. On the outside, he seemed very kind and helpful. He even thought of himself as kind and helpful, but in reality he was very evil. When he was young, he knew that he was very intelligent, but he also had a kind of incongruent social presence, the kind of guy that just couldn't help but to give off the wrong vibes. But at the same time, he knew he was smarter than everybody else, but he also knew from his experience that people didn't really like having him around. And this created a subconscious discrepancy in his thought processes. He wanted to help people, but he also felt shunned by those very same people. He took this confusion with him to sleep every night. He took this confusion deep into his subconscious every night. Most people are aware that if you take a problem to bed, you can wake up with a solution. Some believe that our brains work better when we are sleeping, but some believe that when we fall asleep, when we cross the boundary between thinking thoughts and watching thoughts, we enter into another mental space, one that is open to others, one that invites the participation of other entities. And when you carry a problem to sleep, these other entities can help you solve this. But this problem doesn't necessarily need to be consciously understood, which is why when this young yoga teacher took his problems to sleep, he got solutions. Only they weren't the ones he would have chosen had he had full understanding of the nature of this anxiety, which he most certainly did not. How this came out was him teaching a form of yoga that in the short term was miraculous. People would come to only one or two of his classes and their lives would change. They would learn to make more money. They would learn to have more sex. They would learn to be more expressive. They would learn to live much healthier lives. But of course, this was a bargain they didn't know they were making. Through him, the unwitting intermediary between their souls and the father of lies. The greater their short-term success was, the more devastating the long-term consequences were. Eventually, they would develop amnesia. Eventually, they would forget your name. Eventually, they would forget how to speak. Eventually, they would forget where they lived. And their lives would continuously cascade into deeper and deeper insanity. With hindsight bias, even the most resilient hard sellers can create happy feelings in customers. We can easily be bullied into buying something that we don't really want. But as soon as we leave the shop, our hindsight bias will kick in, and you'll convince yourself that this really was a fantastic experience. You'll convince yourself that you really do want this, and you'll convince yourself that you absolutely can't live without this. And you'll believe this so much, you'll tell all your friends to get this, so they can benefit as much as you. After all, that's what friends are for, right? When you find something really fantastic, you feel compelled to share this with all your friends so they can feel fantastic as well. I was so excited. I had fantasies about making so much money at the track that I'd be able to quit my job and become a professional gambler. But after about 10 minutes into the system, I realized that this whole thing was a scam. This technique was so incredibly complex, so incredibly involved. There's no way I would ever be able to figure out how to use this. Instead, I tossed this and forgot about this. Luckily, since I was in a bookstore, I bought a decent paperback fiction and a large mocha and a couple of everything bagels. By the time I was halfway through my mocha, I had forgotten all about this because mocha, bagels, and paperback fiction go so very well together.